Welcome back. Without a doubt, we've seen a relatively significant improvement on the part of the government in the war against terror. However, there might have been a bigger concern looming for not only the Nigerian government, but other countries being plagued by the sect in the West African region. According to a report on the Hausa service of the Voice of America, which aired yesterday, we understand that Boko Haram has established a radio FM station. What's more troubling is that the establishment of the radio station has been confirmed by residents in Toklomari, northern of Cameroon. The residents reportedly confirmed receiving broadcast messages from the sect via the radio station on 96.8 frequency modulation. It was further reported that the station broadcasts propaganda materials to counter media reports of victories by troops from Nigeria, Chad, Cameroon and Niger Republic in the war against terrorists. Well, joining us from London to make sense of this development is renowned security and terrorism expert David Otto. Thank you, David, for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much.
Now, as a terrorism expert, tell us how huge a red flag is this? Is there any cause for us to worry?
Of course. One of the things which we have to understand is that, groups like ISIL, which Boko Haram is very much associated with, Al-Qaeda, they all have this kind of strategy. So it is a kind of a strategy of communication that has been adopted by Boko Haram because very much Boko Haram understands that most of the inhabitants that are along the Cameroon and Nigeria and Niger border, they rely very much on powered battery radios, for communication. So for Boko Haram, they look at this as a strategy for them, especially with the fact that, most of these people in this area speak native Kanuri and Hausa. So it would be very important for them to actually rely on technology, which actually shows the ambivalence of technology, shows that, despite the fact that, we have technology to fight against these organizations, they too are using this technology as a propaganda tool.
Well, we understand that this station was set up to counter reports of successful operations against the group. Now, is this an indicator that the media is heading in the right direction as regards how news regarding the sect is handled?
Yes, what we have to know is that most of the inhabitants that Boko Haram is trying to get to do not have access, to the main media as, the rest of the country has. I'm talking about remote villages which, do not have electricity. Most of them use these powered battery radios. So they don't have access to most of the media that the main media provides. So what Boko Haram has done is they've selected, this area, and they've selected the frequency wave, which is 96.8, that would capture most of the inhabitants in this area. So they are now, trying to have an upper hand in the kind of information that they provide, i.e. they might provide information as to the fact that, they are winning the war. They'll provide information as to, if they can actually alert individuals if the security services has come in. They can use also this information to recruit, more people within this area. And as I said before, most of the language that Boko Haram uses, for its broadcast is native Hausa and possibly Kanuri. So the main media doesn't actually focus, in these areas. So, this is kind of an upper hand for Boko Haram, which needs to be taken seriously.
So is this likely to have any impact on the north, on the areas where this insurgency has gone on?
Of course, it will have an impact, because as I said, the information that you get, from the media is what people rely on. That's what people are looking for. But when you don't get the main media information, which doesn't get there as a result of structural impediments, then, Boko Haram actually targets them with, this frequency that can actually reach some of the local people. It becomes a problem. But mind you, this is a very big issue that needs to be sorted out. But how it's going to be sorted out, we still need to talk about that.
And do you have any suggestions with regards how this should be sorted out?
I mean, first of all, what we have to bear in mind is that there's a very high possibility that Boko Haram may have thought about this before actually starting the radio. And then secondly, we will probably have a possibility that this could be, rather than a stationary radio station, it might be a portable radio station, which means, you know, it would be carried around whenever and wherever they need to use it. And if you look at the terrain within this Lake Chad region, we have mountains and huge valleys and things like that. And in as much as you can make telephone call in caves, you can therefore have a radio station wherever you go. So it is it's like actually looking for a needle in a haystack. It would take time and intelligence, you know, for the security services to be able to get hold of this. But what can simply happen is once you disrupt one, they might just easily set up another one. So I think it needs a lot of intelligence. But more importantly, I think the government needs a counter strategy to have a local radio station that reaches the people. Information needs to get to the people before Boko Haram gives them their own information.
All right, thank you, David, for talking to us on Network Africa.
Thank you very much.
Moving on now, South Africans are today marking the 40th anniversary of the Soweto uprising, during which school pupils marched in protest against the use of Afrikaans as the language of instruction. Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa led the laying of wreaths at the monument honoring the pupils who were shot dead by apartheid police during the protest. At the Orlando Stadium, President Jacob Zuma was the keynote speaker, where he praised those who took part in that march and challenged the youth to support efforts to fight drug addiction.
It's been 40 years and the nation remembers. It's a grand occasion this year, and to the youth, the president posed a challenge.
We urge our youth to make education their apex priority too. Very painful matter affecting our youth is the abuse of drugs and alcohol.
I am appreciative of what they've done, because now I'm living in this new South Africa, and I still think that South Africa still has a lot to go through to become what these students of 76 had fought for.
Knowing today the importance of education and feeling the importance of education in our lives today, looking back, we realize what they were fighting for.
57-year-old Wandile Makubu, high school principal, was there in 1976.
It was a peaceful march, but it turned into violence.
The day after, what was it like? The day after?
The day after, there was a lull. There was obviously people crying because there were bodies lying all over. Police shot at students, and people were looking for their families because others disappeared the very same day. Other families are still looking for some of because they don't know where they went, whether they ran away from the country. Others were taken by police, and it was horrible.
Many young students were killed. The nation mourned. While some families got closure, others didn't. This iconic photograph of a dying Hector Peterson told the world a sad story. His sister Antoinette Sitole lives to tell the story. But the 18-year-old Mbuyisa Makubu, carrying the dying boy, disappeared. His family last heard from him while he was in Nigeria on exile in 1979.
As family was saying, if Mbuyisa was located, be it in Canada or anywhere, maybe in Nigeria, we want him to come back. Because all South Africans who were in exile are back.
The investigation to find Mbuyisa continues amid some controversy over a prisoner in Canada, Victor Venetu, who claims to be him. The youth celebrations is a month-long one anchored on the stand taken by school students to free their country from repression on June the 16th, 1976. From Johannesburg, South Africa, Betsy Divya, Channels Television News.
Still to come on Network Africa, after much work and combined efforts from various countries, wreckage from the ill-fated Egypt Air MS-804 has been found. Please join us again.